Knowing the signs of phishing is a staple in cybersecure practice in the professional world and requires an understanding of what phishing really is. So what is phishing? Well, it refers to the fraudulent practice of sending emails or other messages claiming to be from reputable sources with the intention of inducing other individuals to reveal personal or private information that can directly or indirectly be used to commit a cyber attack. So what does this all mean? Essentially, it boils down to a bad actor impersonating someone else whom the victim may trust, contacting them, and deceiving them into revealing private information, such as bank account information or their company account login information. And this is a very serious thing. In fact, it's estimated that the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency that over 90% of successful cyber attacks start with a phishing email. Whenever you're on the receiving end of a phishing email or message, the attacker aims to gain unauthorized access to something they would be barred from without gaining insider information, whether this would be an individual's credit card details or the security questions on an account with their company. In both cases, the attacker gains information that will help them in their cyber attack. In the former, they gain direct access to use the victim's credit card, and in the latter example, they can use this information to reset the victim's account and give themselves access. So along the lines of these aforementioned examples, if you have anything valuable that can be exploited virtually, this makes you a potential target of phishing, especially if you work for a high-profile company or have access to classified information. And even though things such as owning a credit card is extremely common, it doesn't mean you'll be immediately hacked. Knowing the signs of phishing can help you avoid and appropriately report them, so you won't fall victim to them. Next, we'll discuss the types of phishing and appropriate awareness for each type. The standard form of phishing, like we talked about, is email phishing, which is of course conducted via email. This is more a general form of phishing and most likely targets a wide group of people in either a target demographic, email leak list, or company. Spear phishing is an attempt to acquire sensitive information or access to a computer system by sending counterfeit messages that appear to be legitimate. The attacker attempts to deceive the victim by crafting a personalized message. Such a message is tailored specifically for the victim, designed to fool them. Someone pretending to be your coworker while mentioning personal details that they would know about you is an example. Whaling attacks are sophisticated cyber attacks that target high-ranking executives specifically, such as CEOs or CFOs. The goals of these attacks is to benefit from financial gain or data theft, such as transferring large sums of corporate money to the attacker's fake accounts, granting access to secure systems, networks, or databases, or divulging sensitive information like trade secrets and client data. Lastly, clone phishing works a bit differently. It's based on the attacker's ability to duplicate or reply to a message that the target had previously received. They accomplish this by intercepting this email, either making it sent from their own fraudulent email or resending their own version. In this reply or duplicate, the attacker will switch out attachments or links with their own link to a malicious website or download links that will install malware masked as benign software. It's important to carefully observe emails from coworkers or supervisors. The quickest way to ascertain a phishing attempt is an email that will appear slightly off. Other details such as awkward spacing, incorrect company branding, or not including full names are other signs to be aware of. For my last subtopic, I'll explore a few case studies from notable companies. First, we have the 2014 Sony Pictures leak, where phishing emails were sent to employees that ultimately tricked them into revealing login credentials. Using this information, attackers gained access to the personal employee data, unreleased films, financial documents, and confidential business strategy files. In November of 2014, North Korean hacker group Guardians of Peace, now called Lazarus, dumped the stolen data online, with Sony computers displaying a chilling message from the attackers. This attack was a massive problem, with an estimated $100 million plus loss, and an overarching consequence of increasing political tensions with North Korea, as this is widely thought to be retaliation for the filming of the political satire film The Interview, which likely angered the country over their comedic portrayal of North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un. While they did still release the film, Sony faced a barrage of consequences, ranging up from having to shut down internal systems and even having to build entire IT systems from the ground up, to handling lawsuits from employees whose social security numbers were leaked. Reputational and operational costs were so significant. In response, the United States imposed sanctions on North Korea. Moving forward to our next example. In 2015, Ubiquiti Networks, a US-based tech company that manufactures wireless data communication products for enterprises and service providers, fell victim to a spear phishing attack, where hackers spoofed executive emails to initiate wire transfers worth $46.7 million. This company was a high-value target because of its global operations and large financial transactions. These spoofed emails were sent to employees in the finance department, requesting urgent wire transfers to overseas accounts with a sense of urgency. Operating on false pretenses, they exploited another type of attack called social engineering. Used in conjunction with the spear phishing attack, this breach was disclosed in a quarterly filing by the U.S. Security and Exchanges Committee. Unfortunately, the attackers were never caught, and even though there was no sophisticated malware, system breach, or other complex exploit involved, a simple breach of human trust allowed for such a heavy and permanent financial loss.
Identifying and avoiding phishing attacks is extremely important. A few a few ways to identify and avoid phishing attacks will include being sure that you recognize the sender. If you should not be responding to any unknown senders or email addresses, making sure that you thoroughly read the email and make sure that there's no obvious grammar and spelling mistakes. A lot of fishes a lot of phishing emails will have spelling and grammar mistakes. Being sure that you observe the domain that the original email came from. You should recognize a reputable site. A lot of phish emails come from non-reputable sites with the company address, maybe at a Gmail or Yahoo. Additionally, a lot of phishing emails will have specific links for you to click on. Do not click on any links that you do not recognize or were not anticipating having to select. A lot of phishing emails also request a sense of urgency from the respondent. Be sure that you are only responding to emails that you anticipated getting or anticipated having to respond to. Do not let anyone rush you into doing anything that you're uncomfortable with. Some best practices for safe browsing and email use include using strong passwords, using combinations of letters, numbers, and special characters, being sure to use uppercase and lowercase letters as well. Being sure to use a VPN when needed. Don't use personal computers for work purposes. Be sure to use secure networks. Don't use open networks like public Wi Fi, especially when using it for sensitive information or sensitive tasks. Don't click on attachments or links that you don't recognize. Being sure to offer employee training and continued training, it will prevent a lot of issues going forward. And making sure that you're keeping your work and personal emails separate. Also, making sure that you are increasing your browsing security. Also, being sure to change your password regularly. Also, being sure that you are using the the filters and the spam on that your web browser allows. Those things have specific filters for a reason.
Hi, this is Ricky. I'll be talking about what secure messaging is, why it matters, and how we can build safer communication habits in our personal lives and in the workplace. So, let's start with why secure messaging is so important today. Most of us send dozens of messages a day from texts, emails, and DMs, often without thinking about how secure these platforms actually are. But the reality is, when messages aren't encrypted, they can be intercepted. That means whether it's a hacker, a malicious actor, or even someone sitting on the same public Wi Fi network could potentially read your private messages. One of the most common threats is something called a man in the middle attack. That's when an attacker secretly intercepts and possibly alters communications between two parties who believe they're communicating directly with each other, it's like having someone quietly listening to your phone call without you ever knowing. If your messages aren't properly secured, that kind of attack could expose sensitive personal information or business information, and once that data is out, it can be used for identity theft, impersonation, financial fraud, or even blackmail. We also see data leaks happening when attackers monitor devices used by employees or company staff. They might wait for the right moment to steal confidential information, whether it's customer records, internal documents, or strategic plans. All of this makes one thing very clear. Unsecure communication isn't just risky, it's a liability. So how do we protect ourselves? The first step is choosing the right communication tools. Not all messaging apps are created equal. Some, like standard SMS texting or regular emails, do not offer any meaningful encryption. That means messages are sent in plain text, which basically they're wide open to anyone who knows how to look. Using those methods for anything sensitive is like writing down your passwords and leaving them on your desk. Instead, we need to use apps that provide end-to-end encryption, often referred to as E2E encryption. What that means is that only the sender and the recipient can read the messages, not the company that owns the app, not your ISP, and not any potential attackers in between. Apps like Signal, WhatsApp, and Telegram are popular choices that offer this level of protection. Signal is widely praised for its strong privacy protections and fully open source end-to-end encryption technology. WhatsApp uses the same encryption protocol as Signal, ensuring that messages are also secure by default. And Telegram, on the other hand, offers an optional secret chat feature with end-to-end encryption for private conversations, but its regular chats are not encrypted in the same way. But even the most secure app can't protect us if we don't use it responsibly. That brings us to communication habits. Because secure tools are only one part of the equation, it's just as important to think about how we use them. For example, we should always avoid clicking on links or attachments from people we don't recognize. These could contain malware or be a part of phishing attacks designed to trick us into giving up personal information. Two-factor authentication, or 2FA, is another simple but effective way to protect your accounts. But not all 2FA methods are equally secure. Codes sent over SMS can be hijacked in what's known as a SIM swapping attack. A better option is to use an authenticator app like Google Authenticator or Duo, or even a physical security key that plugs into your device. These methods add a strong layer of protection against account takeovers. Another key habit is verifying who you're talking to before sharing sensitive information, especially in business contexts, because attackers will often pretend to be someone trustworthy, such as a coworker, a supervisor, even a vendor, in order to get information or trick somebody into taking action, like transferring money or revealing credentials. Taking a moment to verify a request, especially if it seems urgent or out of character, can prevent major security incidents. And lastly, it's good practice to regularly update your passwords, change them if you think they've been compromised, and stay on top of your app or system security settings. Now, in a workplace setting, secure communication becomes even more critical. When teams are working remotely or across different locations, messaging is often the primary way sensitive information gets shared. But if that communication isn't secure, it can put an entire organization at risk. That's why many companies are now relying on encrypted platforms like Microsoft Teams or secure Telegram groups for internal communications. These tools help protect business information, but only if employees are using them properly. That means avoiding personal messaging apps for work purposes and never sending confidential documents or information through unsecured channels like personal email or text messaging. It's also important to stay alert for phishing attempts. If you get a message asking for sensitive information and it doesn't seem quite right, it's best to double check. And if you ever think there's been a breach, it's critical to notify your IT or security team immediately. The sooner they know, the better chance they have of containing the damage. One of the most effective ways to reduce risk overall is education. When employees understand what secure messaging looks like and how to recognize threats, they're much more likely to catch something suspicious before it causes harm. A lot of security comes down to awareness, just knowing what to do, what to look for, and taking the time to pause before clicking or responding. So secure messaging isn't just a personal responsibility. It's a team effort and something that can have a big impact on both personal privacy and organizational security.
A few strategies to prevent against phishing attacks include strong security measures like multi factor authentication, email filtering, network security measures, continued employee training and education, up to date software and patches, and network security measures in place. The incident response steps include identifying the problem, containing the issue so it doesn't spread, eradicating the problem, recovering from the problem, making sure that everything is able to be used, notify everyone in the chain of command, and creating a post incident analysis where you write down everything and capture everything that happened during the incident.
To wrap everything up, I'm going over a brief recap of what we covered in this presentation. We started by talking about what phishing is, the different forms it can take, and how easy it is to fall for it if you're not careful. Those real world examples really show how damaging phishing attempts can be, not just for individuals, but for entire organizations. Then we moved into how to spot and avoid phishing attempts. We looked at how to tell the difference between real and fake messages and some easy habits you can build, like double checking email addresses, being cautious with links, and not opening unexpected attachments. From there, we jumped into secure messaging. We saw why using encrypted apps matter and why things like SMS or unencrypted emails just aren't safe for sensitive info. And we talked about smart habits like using multi-factor authentication, verifying who you're talking to, and sticking to secure channels, especially at work. Finally, we covered prevention and response. Prevention means having strong tools in place like MFA, good email filters, and keeping software up to date. But it also means regular training and awareness. And if something does go wrong, having a clear incident response plan, such as identifying, containing, fixing, recovering, and learning from it, is essential. At the end of the day, cybersecurity isn't just an IT issue. It's something we all have a role in. A little caution goes a long way, and the more informed we are, the safer we are online and in the workplace.